Hello. The title of this podcast today is going to be called "Breaking the Simulation," and This is going to be a special podcast. I'm going to be sending this out to Mr. Donald Hoffman of the University of California, Irvine. He is I think he's a physicist out there, and he's doing research on consciousness. Now, this particular podcast that I'm doing, I'm going to add some things to his research that he may or may not be aware of, and look at this from a different angle. For any of you who aren't familiar with Mr. Hoffman, he's a brilliant physicist, and his work on consciousness is pretty extraordinary. Now, one of the few things that he's brought up was that reality is an illusion. Now, regardless on how you feel about that, I can honestly say that I'm probably in agreement with that. Now, something that I'd like to add to that is that if we are in a simulation, and if we are interfacing with it, and I think we can all agree that we are interfacing with it, how does that simulation communicate with us? Now, that communication comes back and forth. And I'm going to keep this real brief. Now, you're going to have to use your imagination for this. And then Mr. Hoffman, if you're viewing this, I'm sure you can fill in the blanks of with anything, if I'm missing any steps in this process with this communication with the consciousness and the human vessel or the brain. Now, that consciousness, does it have a personality? Does that consciousness communicate with us? And I'm sure you would say yes. That connection goes both ways. Now, if that consciousness is communicating with us, how does it do it? And I think one of the main things that we could possibly agree on, it does it through synchronicities. I'm going to keep other ways out of this. I'm going to keep this strictly with the numbers. Now, if this consciousness is communicating with us, I'm sure we've all heard of angel numbers, numerology, synchronicities. That is one form of communication in this reality, in this simulation. Now, like I said before, that communication goes both ways. Now, what I'm going to share with Mr. Hoffman today, and anyone who's interested in this field, I have a series of synchronicities that are actually a wonderful set of synchronicities that I would like to bring to your attention. Now, me personally, I've had a string of synchronicities that, if you were to calculate what are the chances of these happening in this order, it would be astronomical. Number one, the date of my birth is May 21st. The address that I was born in is 521, same as May 21st, 521. And also my social, 521. Those same numbers. Now, what are the synchronicities? Those synchronicities, what are the chances of those synchronicities happening in that order? Well, now, I can go further. Along with that, my first name, if you're using the numerology system, numerology, where you're taking the letters and changing them to numbers. A is 1, 2 is B, and C is 3, and so forth. My birth name, my given name at birth, literally is the year that I was born. Now, I'm not done. Now, just with those 4 synchronicities in a row. Now, I didn't give myself those numbers or that name. Those were given to me. Now, along with that, if you take those numbers and I take my full name, the same letters and numbers that it takes to spell out. If you take the same numbers from Almighty God and you take those same numbers and use it for my name, are the exact same numbers, no letters left out. So it's a strange, wonderful set of synchronicities that I would like to get your attention with. Now, I've had a spiritual experience with this, but like I said before, I'm going to stick with the numbers. Now, I think what Mr. Hoffman is doing, he's in an attempt to create a portal where he's going to try to communicate or get in touch with that consciousness, and he's doing it through technology. What I'm saying is, I think that's one aspect of doing this. There's also a spiritual aspect that I think that Mr. Hoffman is missing, and I think I may be the key to that. Now, like I said before, I've had a spiritual experience, and I've been, for lack of a better word, I think I've peeked through that simulation. Now, I'm not going to go through that on this podcast right now. Now, you do that for a later date. But remember, these synchronicities go back, that whatever that is, how we're communicating, we all know that it's the human vessel that's able to communicate with it. If you want to say it's a line on a umbilical cord that's connected to that consciousness, that's what the human body is doing it. And I've shown, and I've had on several occasions, have peeked through that simulation, have made contact with that simulation. Now, before I go any further, let me say this. Mr. Hoffman, you made a statement one time that, trying to explain consciousness to people, it's very difficult. It's a hard thing to grasp. And you made a statement that you wouldn't necessarily try to teach consciousness or advanced mathematics to a chimpanzee or a monkey because he's mentally not equipped to handle it. You took it a step further. The Homo sapien at this stage in its evolution may not be able to fully comprehend consciousness. That stuck with me for a minute because, for years I've been trying to share with people what I've been experiencing, and I'm really not getting anywhere with it, but I know what's happening and I know what I'm saying. Now, some of the things that I've experienced, I don't have the actual proof, because it's almost like you said in one of your interviews. It's like trying to, when you're having a headache, it's happening in your brain, and it doesn't really affect anything else outside of it. No one else is feeling that. That's a personal experience between you and what's going on in your head. Is it real? Yes. The headache is real, and you can't expect the person or anybody else to share that headache with you. Now, I'm having a spiritual experience that I can't force people to experience with me. But I will say one thing that I can share with the community who's following this are the synchronicities that are happening in my birth. Now, alongside with that, there was some astrological events that happened during my birth. Now, if you take that along with the astrological events, along with where I was born at and my name, my address, where I was born, you're going to see a string of synchronicities that's so random that is not random. These are not, this isn't random. This was specifically done, and I'm going to say it's from the Most High. Now, like I said before, I know it's from the Most High, because if you take my name and you spell it out, and you take my name and you flip them into numbers, it spells out Almighty God. Now, that's a synchronicity. Now, if Mr. Hoffman, if you're into numbers, and I'm sure you are, sir. Yeah, I'm sure you are. Now, like I said before, anybody else who's viewing this, you're going to have to use your imaginations. Now, I'm sure we all have viewed The Matrix. The Matrix, one of the first things that Neo had woken up to when he came out, when he came out of the Matrix, he started seeing numbers. He started seeing synchronicities. And that's what I saw. Now, I'm not going to tell you how I came out of this Matrix. I did something what some would say supernatural. And my name was actually revealed to me. I had no idea that my name had translated to Almighty God in the using numerology. So I'm going to keep it at that. I'm not going to go any more further. I'm going to keep it at the numbers, because I can go on about my spiritual journey with this, the religious journey, what I've seen in my natal charts, what I've seen in astrology. I'm not going to get focused on that. We're just going to stick with the numbers. Now, Mr. Hoffman, those synchronicities, they work both ways. The same way that the consciousness or that higher being, whatever we're going to call it, let's just call it the consciousness. Some may even call it God. Whatever's behind that, it communicates with us through synchronicities. Now, those synchronicities goes back and forth. You know, when you peek into the darkness speaks back. Oh, it speaks back. When you speak into it, it'll speak back. You know, when I was on a journey that, whether I knew it or not at the time, I was here for a higher calling, and I've seen things in my time on this planet. So, one of the things I'm going to share with you in this community is that I'm going to attempt to speak back. I'm going to create my own synchronicity, and I just want you guys to sit back and watch this and view this with me, because the same way the universe or this consciousness communicated with me, I'm going to communicate back with it, and I'm going to create my own synchronicity. So today I'm going to announce that on February 2nd through February the 22nd at 2:22 p.m. in the year 2022, I'm going to do a crucifixion. Now, during this crucifixion, I'm going to document it. I'm going to bring this, excuse the noise. I'm going to let this pass really quick. Like I said, I'm going to create my own synchronicity. Now, keep in mind, the theory behind this is everything is documented digitally. When I do this, it's going to be published in newspapers. It's going to be published in articles. Those numbers are going to be set in stone. Remember, everything in this reality is documented to the time and date. So this synchronicity that we're in, or excuse me, this reality that we're in, everything is documented. Now, I'm doing this to speak to that consciousness. The same way it speaks to me, speaks to the rest of us in this reality through synchronicities, I'm going to create my own. And I expect a response back. Now, I've had responses before, but this one I'm going to share with this community in this consciousness community. Now, like I said before, February 2nd through the 22nd at 2:22 p.m. in the year 2022, I'm going to do a crucifixion. I'm going to have a cross. I'm going to have a crown made out of thorns placed on my head, and I'm going to have my hands nailed to a cross. I'm going to do the whole crucifixion. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to do anything like that. It'll be done with medical professionals around me. It'll be nonviolent. It's basically me speaking back to this consciousness by creating my own synchronicity. Now, me personally, I don't think it's ever been done, especially with someone with my number background, with my background. Like I said before, the synchronicities that I have in my birth chart, in my natal chart, my name, the location, my year of birth, with everything that's lined up. Like I said before, my birth date, my name, my social, where I was born, everything. And I've seen it many places. I can keep going on, but I'm going to stick with that because that's the proof. That's a synchronicity that it's no longer random. This was purposely done by me personally. It's by the Most High, even by the name that it is given me. If you take my name and flip it into and turn it into numbers, it literally spells out Almighty God. Now, me personally, I went through a religious experience. I actually attempted to change my name to Almighty God. I was naming myself after my Father in heaven. Now, some people may find something wrong with that. Listen, if you got a problem with that, you need to take it up with God, because like I said before, I named myself after my Father in heaven. Okay? That was the name I was given. The same name translates to that. Now, when I do this, I'm not going to disclose the location yet where this is going to be done, but I am going to share the time with you. So in the year 2022, at 2:22 p.m., there will be a crucifixion where I will be communicating. I will be creating my own synchronicity where I will be speaking to this higher consciousness. I will be speaking to the simulation. So, Mr. Hoffman, if this makes it to you, I hope it does. I would love to sit down and talk with you about the rest of my experiences with this. I mean, I can go on about the things that I've seen with this, even how I came upon this information. So, if you're able to, I'm gonna send something out. Hopefully, we can sit down and discuss it. But I'll have more videos about this, about what I've seen and what I've been through this journey. And to anyone else who is actually viewing this and would like to show some support or just follow this, please leave a comment and let's have a discussion about it, because this can't be denied. I think I have the proof. I have so many synchronicities. It's no longer random. This is actually a communication. And remember, like I said before, everything is documented in this simulation, and even with the alignment of the stars, it was the same thing that Jesus went through. When Jesus was crucified, even in his birth, there were things happening in the stars that correlated with what was happening here on this planet. The same thing was happening to me on my birthday. There were certain things that happened in the stars, and throughout my life, at pivotal moments, I've seen things that can't be denied, that being communicated with this consciousness. Now, I'm going to keep this video short, but I just wanted anyone who's able to see this, just take into account, if this consciousness or this reality that we're in is able to communicate with us, one aspect of it is communicating to us through synchronicities. I'm going to create my own synchronicities in hopes to communicate back with it. Now, let's see what happens. I expect, because I'm being guided to this, and I expect some type of communication back. There'll be some type of communication back. Like I said before, I honestly feel as though I'm being guided to do this, and the work that Mr. Hoffman is doing with this simulated reality, I think he's on to something. I mean, he's not the only one out here talking about this. If anyone, not too long ago, Logan Paul and fought Floyd Mayweather during one of the press conferences, He said he's going to craft the simulation that we're in a simulation. People, we are in a simulation, whatever you want to call it. And also, I think if we look into the teachings of Jesus Christ, he hinted that we were in some type of simulation. He may not have been using the same terminology that we're using, but he was most definitely talking about a simulation. He's literally talking about a simulation. We're in it. How do we move through this? What so there, and he taught us, Jesus, you know, was giving us a way on living through this simulation to have the most fruitful life, on how to move through this simulation without resistance. He gave us a peaceful path. And what I've witnessed through Jesus Christ is that his teachings helps us move through this simulation. It's the path of least resistance. It's a peaceful path. And I've experienced that. Not picking up any baggage. There's no force. Things just come to you. So I'm going to do that. Like I said before, this crucifixion that I'll be having, I'll put more up on this channel, and I'll be expressing what I have coming up. As far as this, it'll be more than that crucifixion done on that day. It'll be a lot more things that'll be going on. So please stay tuned, and I'll let you guys know what happened on this journey. So if anyone's watching this, keep this in mind. I'm not going to die on the cross. I'll be coming down off of it. I'll have some medical professionals there to, you know, fix me up and clean me up, you know, and I'll do it like that. So anyone watching this, you know, enjoy the show. And Mr. Hoffman, I hope you get this. And like I said before, I would love to sit down and talk to you about what I've witnessed and what I've experienced. And like I said before, I think what you're missing in your research is the spiritual aspect. And so I think I can help you. That there's some really good information out here that you might find helpful. And sir, good day.